According to multiple reports in Israel and globally, we are closer than ever now to a ceasefire finally. The recent breakthrough came after attempts from the United States administration to use different terminology when it comes to the ceasefire that will be more acceptable by Hamas. Now, ever since the temporary ceasefire ended and Israel restarted the war, Hamas have had certain red lines, and there has been no compromise when it comes to the red lines, which are ending the war, withdrawing from all parts of Gaza, allowing all people back everywhere they need to, and then details to do with the aid and rebuilding of Gaza. Clearly, what the US did when it comes to the terminology made a difference, and now Hamas, in what they describe as an exchange of thoughts, had a certain breakthrough that Israel is saying that could lead to a ceasefire. Now, the reason why there's a positivity with regards to this is the tone that's being used from Israel. The Israeli media are reporting that there are no differences now when it comes to the principles of the agreement, but only with regards to details. And to make sure that they have no disagreements or anything that's confusing or not read properly, they also had the agreements both in Hebrew and in Arabic to make sure they are perfectly aligned with the terminology that Hamas used when it comes to their response. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu authorized the head of the Mossad, Dudi Berna, and the head of the Shabak to go and finalize the ceasefire talks in Doha, in Qatar. They are supposed to get back, and we also had reports that Joe Biden or the Biden administration were due to call Netanyahu and press on him to accept the ceasefire. Sources in the Israeli security establishment also said things that are positive when it comes to Netanyahu's openness finally to reach a ceasefire. This is something new. Usually when it comes to the ceasefire delegation and the security establishment, many of them were skeptic when it comes to Benjamin Netanyahu's intentions to the ceasefire. They were saying things like saying Netanyahu is not willing to agree to a ceasefire is an injustice against him, and he is actually showing leniency. We haven't had official reports from Benjamin Netanyahu himself, apart from the normal statements that we are telling the Biden administration that we are committed to ending the war, but after we reach its objectives. Now, how will Benjamin Netanyahu describe these objectives when it comes to the ceasefire? That's something that we're going to have to see if and when they finalize the ceasefire. Because initially there were also reports from recent weeks that there is a full agreement on phase one when it comes to the actual war ending and the ceasefire, but the problems began when it comes to the ceasefire stage 2 and 3 of this agreement. Now there is a confirmation, obviously, again, that they are agreeing on the first phase, and that there is also a confirmation that the ceasefire will continue, even if during phase 1 both Hamas and the Israelis don't agree on phase 2 and phase 3. Clearly there is progress. However, everyone is very careful because in many cases the situation was hopeful, but then everything blew up. Another thing to consider here is Benjamin Netanyahu's closest allies and the people who apply most pressure on him, Ben Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich. These are people who were responsible for pushing the war, and as a matter of fact, we had one of his aides who is a member of Otzma Yehudit talking about occupying Sinai and pushing for a greater occupation, something that I will be talking about in my live stream. I will obviously keep you updated with further things when it comes to the ceasefire, especially after the Israeli delegation goes to Qatar and have an official response when it comes to the ceasefire and when it would due to take place if they reach an agreement.